And RuPaul said that drag queens are very political. Take a listen to what he says.
Drag queens are the Marines of the queer movement. Don't get it twisted and don't be distracted. Register to vote so we can get these stunt queens out of office and put some smart people with real solutions into government.
Okay, that sentence. Drag queens are the Marines of the queer movement. So let's break that down. What does that mean? The Marines are typically the first ones into a battle if you're speaking in military term. You send in the Marines. Why? You send in the Marines to do the hard work. You send the Marines in to clear the way for the rest of the military to come. So if drag queens are the equivalent in the queer movement to Marines in the military, then drag queens are being sent in first to clear out a space for the rest of the so-called queer movement. Now, what is the queer movement? I want to establish something right here and right now, and that is drag queens or trans people who are identify as transgender. Like I said, transgender people, there's no such thing as transgender people. There are people who suffer from gender disorders. There are people who are transvestite. There is no such thing as a transgender person. You are either a man or a woman, regardless of how you dress, regardless of surgeries you have. You are worthy of dignity and respect, but it is not a separate category. There are two categories of people, man and woman. People with gender disorders, regardless of how they dress or whether they've had surgery, and people who are homosexual, who have different sexual orientations than heterosexual orientations, have equal rights in this country. They are not facing discrimination. They are not facing oppression. They're not even facing cultural intolerance, which is not always something you can control. But the important thing for our nation is to make sure that every person, regardless of their race, regardless of their age, regardless of their sex, yes, regardless of their sexual orientation, is protected under our Constitution, or their constitutionally protected rights are actually protected. That, my friends, we have in this nation, and we should be very glad about that. You can, like me, believe that marriage is between one man and one woman. You can, like me, believe that there are two genders, two sexes, male and female, and you still can advocate for equal rights for every person under the law, as I do. That's the properly ordered position to take, and understand that that's what we have in our nation right now. We have a nation where it is not institutionally codified that gay people or people with gender disorders are facing some sort of discrimination because of these things about them, because of these characteristics or these lifestyles that they have chosen. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. But it's very important to establish that, because when RuPaul uses this phrase, drag queens are Marines of the queer movement, we have to ask ourselves, well, what is this queer movement? This LGBTQIA plus lobby, what are they seeking? Because if they're seeking equal rights, they have that. If they're seeking to have their constitutional rights protected, they have that. If they're seeking to avoid or overturn institutional discrimination, they also have that. So what exactly are they seeking? Are they seeking special status where they have some kind of extra or additional privileges based on these characteristics that these lifestyles that they've chosen? Or what exactly are they seeking? What is the queer movement? Well, queer movement is what we just described. The queer movement is queer theory. Queer theory is a fundamentally neo-Marxist movement that simply uses the sexualization of children and the normalization of perverted sexual behavior, whether it's child pornography, whether it's outright pedophilia, and the abolition of sex essentialism, which is the reality of the fact that there are two sexes. This is what they use in order to destroy reality, destroy objective truth, to then further their Marxist agenda. So when RuPaul says drag queens are the Marines of the queer movement is queer theory, which is Marxist. Drag queens, he means, if he's comparing them to Marines, he means drag queens are on the forefront of being propagators of queer theory.